This year, I graduated from high school, and while most kids my age are going off to college, I've decided to make the bold decision to take a different path. As an 18-year-old who has scaled various ventures over the past 4 years, everything from an in-person car wash business all the way to online consulting businesses and even agencies, I have a fair share of reasons for why I believe college is not the right path for me. So in this video, I'll break down why I believe that college could have counterintuitively had a detrimental impact on my growth as a person, in my career, personal life, faith in God, and even education itself. And also how I plan to receive the benefits that college has to offer without the downsides, which I'll go over in this video. So if you're around my age, maybe you've been questioning college, or you're just sort of interested in my perspective, then this is for you. So the first reason why I believe that college may not be the best option for me is I already know or have systems for learning things that college is supposed to teach me. I've found my own ways, and it's arguable if they're better or not than the traditional system, to learn a lot of the things that college is supposed to promise its students. First off is direction for career. Now, it's controversial if you need to go into college with sort of a direction of where you want your career to go or what you want your profession to be, but I've cracked the code relatively early. And that career path I've discovered is, like I said earlier, entrepreneurship. I've been doing this for the past 4 years, and this is something I've always been interested in. When I was younger, I was always interested in taking the unconventional path and building things, inventing things. Now, I'm not inventing like physical devices like I was trying to do when I was especially young, but I certainly am creating ventures and creating things which bring teams together, have strong visions, and what I hope is to have positive impact on society as an outcome of what I do with my work. And that's what I love to do, and that's what I want to continue doing. Some people say go to college so you can figure out what you want to do. While I don't think that is the wisest advice, as how do you know what to study if you don't know what career you want to get into? But some people are young and they just need a period to be around peers around their age and just try out sort of these interests they have and study them to dive deeper into the topics. But I don't need to do that. I've already discovered the path I want to take. So that's the first thing that I would go to college for, but I don't need. The second thing is actual business skills. Sure, I know which path I want to take, but how am I going to acquire the skills to actually forego that path? And that is when I see college being beneficial to people, when they know what they want to do, and now they need to surround themselves with peers, professors, curriculum, which backs that passion, backs that career. However, for me, I already have a decent amount of business experience. I'm no Jeff Bezos, but I have a decent amount of experience to sort of be confident in starting whichever venture I'm most interested in. If I wanted to go off and start a clothing brand or start another agency or another consulting business, maybe I'd want to go back to lemonade stands and car wash businesses. I feel confident in my ability to understand markets and understand customer psychology and marketing especially, to be able to reverse engineer my other businesses and implement the tactics I've learned into new ventures. So for that, sure, I can learn more about the specifics of economics and sort of these terms that I am not familiar with in the entrepreneur space, learn about VC backing and how to properly exit a company. But these are all things that whenever I come to that stage, I'll dive deeper into. I don't feel the need to go through 4 years of studying how to exit a company and then eventually not even need to know that. I would much rather learn the skills when it's applicable and when I'm most interested in it. And when I do need to learn those skills, I can go to a mentor or someone who's really done it, as I doubt a lot of the professors have built massive businesses. Maybe they have, I'm not sure. Of course, it's circumstantial to the college you're going to, but I can work with someone, a mentor who's really done it, who I handpick, who I want guidance from. And it probably costs less than $40,000 at least for 4 years of help. You could probably just help them with content and in return get some mentorship help. The third thing is connections. I know a lot of people who went to college and met some of their best friends there. They got great connections in the career path they want to take, And because of that, they got new opportunities, they got new friendships, they built relationships from it. And I think that's incredible. And that's one of the major benefits of college. However, I have very strong circle, a very strong network. And I'm not saying this to be arrogant about my circle as if it's my possession and I built it brick by brick, as a lot of these connections God has gratefully blessed me with. And a lot of the people I know, I really respect and I look up to even. And sure, I could go to college and make more friends, but I don't see just needing to network and needing to make more friends being a justification for the expenses and time commitment that college would require. The next thing is routine. Now, my solution for building a routine, as a lot of people need to stay in school to stay on top of their studies and habits and sort of have people looking over their shoulder, making sure they're staying up to status quo continually. However, I have built the discipline necessary to be a self-accountability partner. And because of that, I don't see needing routine as a justification for going to college. So that's like the fourth thing. I've always known my whole life that I learn best by doing. Sure, I can read, and I do read a lot, and I can study topics, which again, I do whenever I find a topic interesting enough to study. However, I learn best by doing. And when I can get my hands dirty, especially on something as vague and innately complex as entrepreneurship, and forgive this poor metaphor, as this is something I'm going to create on the fly here. I'd much rather get my hands dirty on the ground than sit back and try to strategize how to plant crops. So I threw myself in the deep end at 14 years old and started a car wash business, eventually started freelance editing, started an agency, worked as an employee for about 2 entrepreneurs, and eventually built my own consulting business, and now we're here. Now I know I am privileged to have gotten an early start in the game. Getting into business was something I didn't plan. It's not like I sat down and created a strategy that I was gonna get a head start. This was something that I am grateful to have fallen into out of just following interest after interest until I ended up here. But while that momentum gave me an early head start, I wouldn't say it's necessary to have had that in order for college to not make sense. If I were starting completely over now at 18 years old with no business experience, no skills that I started building very early in life that I was privileged to have gotten into so early, I would still question spending tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars for 4 to 8 years of learning when I could put those resources and that time into trying business ventures and, like I said, learning from doing, as I believe that could be much more beneficial. And for something like entrepreneurship, every business is different. You really just have to get in the weeds and you have to sort of figure it out. Most entrepreneurs will tell you when they started their business, there was no one there to help them. They were kind of alone. And that's because no one's built the same business you're trying to build. Maybe you're trying to start a clothing brand and someone else has started a clothing brand. You can talk to them about the fundamentals of it, but ultimately your vision is going to be different and you have to figure that out yourself. There's no handbook for what you want to create. As an entrepreneur, you have to be an autonomous worker. You have to be able to do things when no one's there to save you. You have to be able to build things when there is no previous blueprint on how what you're building should function, because you create the rules. You lay that blueprint down and you create something which will inspire future generations of entrepreneurs to build what they want to build. So that is where it gets tricky. You know, you could spend all that money, spend all that time learning, studying how business works, or you could use free resources online and study that way and then just learn from getting your hands dirty. And I truly think the latter is a much more wise and practical approach. It's scarier because there's a lot of unknown, but for business, that's how it has to be sometimes, or at least that's how I've approached it. not saying it's the only way. I'm not even making such an egregious claim to say that it's the best way, but it is my way. It's how I tend to approach it, and I'm no guru, so don't take my word for it. Do your own research, of course, which is a recurring theme in which I will continue to stress, because everyone's circumstance is different, and you need to do your own critical thinking and analysis of what you have going for you, what resources you have, what makes the most sense for your situation, and use that to come to a conclusion yourself. So this video is my perspective, my story. Don't just copy me, as I make mistakes just as everyone else. But if the logic in this video makes sense, then feel free to follow it. Even to my point on learning by doing, like, this isn't a method that works for everyone, but it works best for me. So take it with a grain of salt and see if it works for your situation. If you're questioning college, I would highly recommend taking time by yourself, with family, with friends, to really think about your situation, what makes most sense for you, and really dwell on the fact that you're going to be spending a significant amount of money on your education, which will hopefully make you a better person in society, a better leader, and progress your career using the knowledge and wisdom you acquire through those 4 to 8 years, to hopefully have positive impact on the people around you and within yourself. In my opinion, it's not too smart to spend $40,000 plus to just figure out what you want to do. That's what a gap year is for. So definitely consider that when you're thinking about approaching college. And if entrepreneurship is the career path in which you want to embark on, then definitely consider taking a gap year and starting your own ventures, because who knows? Maybe one of those takes off and then that's your career. Now, the second reason which led me to not want to jump straight into college after high school is just simply not fully agreeing with the system. There are 6 flaws which I've sort of analyzed myself from experience, from talking to other people I know, and I wanted to sort of lay them out for you here just so you can take it into consideration yourself. I believe if college isn't the option for you, isn't the best path, then this video here could save you a lot of money and a lot of time, and it could change the trajectory of your life, quite frankly. So I want to just give you the perspectives here, like I said, and then you can make your own decision, but this is just my personal experience. The first flaw is that you spend 5 figures, sometimes even 6 figures, on a degree or education that you may not even use. I don't have the data for it, but maybe someone can do some research and comment down below what % of college graduates actually use their degree. And I think that number would be quite surprising. The second flaw I've noticed, and I've almost been a victim to this myself, which is that most kids just go to college because all their friends are doing it. It's the normal thing to do, and they think it's the only option. Now, I don't think that's true. There are so many career opportunities out there with social media and technology just becoming such a catalyst to society that I would highly recommend just looking into other career options out there that, of course, are not just posting TikTok edits and using TikTok AdSense to make your income, but like something actually serious you can do online, or even in person, that you don't need college for. And considering looking into that before you go through the education system of college. At least that's how I approached it. When I was researching college, I was just thinking, what are things that I actually want to do? Like college in the picture, out of the picture. If I need a degree or if I don't need a degree, that is something I'm not going to think about now. I'm just going to think ideal career opportunities. And I thought them all through, and the ones in which I was most ecstatic about actually pursuing were ones in which did not require degrees nor college education, but were rather things that were much more entrepreneurial. So that was my main reason for thinking, even though everyone else is going, I'm just going to kind of sit this out and see if I can make something work outside of needing a degree, as that's where I'd much rather end up anyways. Now, flaw number 3 I noticed is, since most people don't go to college with a clear direction of their career, they don't take it that seriously, and they sort of end up spending their time just partying, messing around, just living in sin. And I know we all make mistakes, we're all sinners, but wasting such a significant period of your life, like the prime years of your life, and wasting the opportunity to become educated that will further your entire career, personal life, impact, etc., is such a sad thing to see. Now, I know partying in itself is not inherently bad or wrong, but when you're constantly getting drunk and you're hooking up with people and you're just kind of blinded by groupthink because everyone else is doing these things, you start to go away from your values and your morals, and you start to fall into this dark rabbit hole, which drifts you further and further from God. And why would you want that in the primary institution of education? Why would you want the main focus for a lot of people to be to sin and to drift further from God and run further into conformity? I think that's wrong, and I don't personally respect that. So I decided that's, again, another flaw. Flaw number 5. I noticed that most people that go to college complain about the fact that they don't learn real life skills. They don't learn how to pay taxes, how to invest properly, how to buy a house. And these are all, of course, financial things, but a career, I would say impact comes first, the people you can help comes first, but a catalyst of a career is to actually make a substantial income and be financially well off. And if you're not being taught these things in college, then how do you know how to manage your money? And that I see as a major flaw. Sure, you can take some classes in economics, and I'm sure there's personal finance routes you could take, but few people are doing that, and even fewer are actually paying close attention to those classes and applying the knowledge properly. So that's a flaw I've seen. Like, I can learn financial literacy in other ways through free online courses, speaking to other entrepreneurs and CPAs out there that can, really guide me towards being financially literate. And I'd much rather take those paths than having that as a justification for spending such a significant amount of income and use the peak and most neuroplastic years of my life on a flawed way of educating myself on financial literacy, if that's the main reason of going. There's much better ways. I'm cramping up here. Like, I'm doing these hand gestures and my forearm is literally cramping because I hit upper body this morning and I didn't have bananas, so my potassium intake is quite low. But, some people are going through worse things. But let's go on to flaw number 6, which is you're giving up 4 years of work experience, business building, and time to acquire skills. Someone who spends their years from 18 to 22 learning sales or coding or investing or filmmaking or even a trade may be far ahead financially compared to 22-year-old graduates. And on top of that, they may have a stronger foundation to enter a much more lucrative career path earlier in their life, get that head start, and as a result, have a more successful career in the long run. And I know there's more to college than just preparing for a career. I do think I've covered a lot of the points regarding network and figuring out what you want to do with your life and all these different things, just being around people your age. Personally, I have those bases covered, and I do not feel a need to attend college just for those reasons. So that's why I mentioned, whatever makes sense for you. If you really don't have a network, first I would argue you'll gain a network from just doing the thing you want to do, whether it be create art, further your progression in a sport, maybe go pro, build a business, whatever it is. You'll probably just meet people along the way. Again, the money, the time it takes to go to college is quite significant, and I think there are possibly better uses of time if you have similar variables as I do. All right, my next point, and this is the one I'm most excited to share, is that I'm able to educate myself in other ways. I think people who don't go to college and in replace of it end up just messing around are quite silly. I know when you're this young, you're gonna do things that you'll look back on and just kind of laugh at. Maybe you'll regret it, but I'd rather be on the end of the spectrum where I look back and I'm grateful for the time, energy, and focus and discipline I put in at such an early age that gave me a better head start to better provide for those around me in the future and sort of just get the hard part over with, which I know the hard part is ongoing. It doesn't really get easier. And I've experienced that because I thought after 4 years, entrepreneurship, the gym, all of these things would just get easier, but they don't, because once they get easier, you stop progressing. So you have to progressive overload, not just in the gym, but also with your career. You have to continue pushing yourself. I have other ways to educate myself. Historically, colleges controlled the deepest depths of education, and they would do this through having the smartest professors, having all the books, having the structured curriculum in which you can follow to learn these topics that you're most interested in, or in most cases, topics that you're forced to learn because you have to take all these extra classes. But this video is not to hate on college, it's just to share my perspective, so we'll put that aside as well. However, today, most information is published for completely free through online courses, lectures, and even books. And I think these latter forms of education are much cheaper. I mean, I don't just think that. Unless you're going to community college, that's pretty much an objective fact. And I want to sort of just dive into how I'm utilizing these external sources to further my education, as the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. I truly believe that. And I'm not going to ignorantly neglect the power of having wisdom, being knowledgeable, understanding history and literature and theology and psychology and philosophy and science. I mean, they can just go on and on. So many things you can learn, and there's so many areas in which I feel like I even lack depth of intellect in for my age. Like, I feel like I'm a bit behind in some areas because I spent so much time throughout high school just focused on building businesses, and I wasn't as focused on education, but I can sort of catch up now. But I'm reading books that I find interesting. And of course, when you find a topic interesting and something in which you can take action on instantly, you're going to be much more intrigued to dive deeper into it. I'm not reading like romance novels or Atomic Habits type books. I've actually found books that push my reading level, teach me, educational topics in which I lack depth on, and thirdly, I actually find interesting. So I can sit there and read for hours and actually enjoy what I'm reading. It doesn't feel like work. I have this huge stack right here on my desk. Like, studying René Girard in the Deceit, Desire, and the Novel book has been quite an experience. I've been listening to video essays and podcasts and clips from René Girard himself to further understand this concept of mimetic desire, which he created. And then also the Brothers of Karamazov. Just learning about the author has been an experience in itself. So I really do enjoy these things. I've also been sort of educating myself by researching professionals, professors that are top of the line in today's day and age. There's so much information out there that is extremely applicable and so digestible that is completely free. Harvard publishes their courses for free online, by the way. I don't know how true that is with how many courses they actually publish for free, but I do know, I have looked into it. They have a handful of courses. So I recommend just looking at that if you're interested in a topic. I personally will continue looking. I don't know if I'm going to go with Harvard. I know Jordan Peterson has some academy he created, which is fairly reasonable in price. I don't know how good those lectures are though, but I'm definitely going to keep looking into it. But Harvard itself, the highest prestige school in the world, is offering lectures for free. I'm not sure if you'll be accredited for it, but that's pretty cool just to learn. The next reason is that it simply doesn't make sense for some of my interests. I'm very interested in theology and exercise science, as these have been two topics that I've already been on my own personal study of for the past, I don't even know how long it's been, 5-6 years. And I'll just continue doing my own research. But I don't plan to be a theologian, nor do I plan to be a physical therapist or a professional in that realm of expertise. I just kind of am interested in these topics for myself. So again, since I'm taking the entrepreneur path, there isn't a piece of paper you need in order to do this. Like, anyone can do it. And that's why it's more difficult, because you have less guidance. But I've already gotten a decent head start in business, so I'm just going to continue down that path. And as of now, of course, my opinion can change as I'm still very young, but I always aim to be an entrepreneur. And in that field, knowledge matters much more than a degree. Like, you should be smart, you should understand the market, you should understand, of course, fundamental things. You should have a decent groundwork of education under you. You can't just be a 6-year-old starting a business, although I'm sure there is some 6-year-old out there who's inventing stuff. Who knows? But that's the interesting thing. Like, you don't need a degree for what I want to do. I can also study theology through some of the most well-renowned theologians of all time, like C.S. Lewis. And of course, the earliest accounts of Christianity itself through the Bible, reading works from incredible minds such as Paul, Peter, Matthew, John. These are incredible sources which I've been learning from, still a novice in understanding the Bible, but it's a great source to go to. So I've been using that as well, just for my personal interest, right? I'm not here to be a theologian. I'm just studying to answer some of the deepest questions that I have. And I found this method to work fairly well. And then of course with exercise science, I can just learn that for my own use case. I'm not here to be a physical therapist. I'm not here to be a personal trainer. If I want to get certified, I know a relatively quick path to do so. And I have a decent fundamental understanding where educating myself to actually get certified would not take too long for personal training. Of course, for physical therapy, I'd have to go through like 4 to 8 years of college or something. So that's quite extensive, but I just need it for my own benefit and to help those around me get in good shape. And I can do that through trial and error, learning from YouTube, and just talking to people I know who are experts in the field. Now, I want to stress that I'm not an extremist against college by any means. In fact, I even questioned making this video because I knew that it would rub some people in the wrong way. It would be ignorant to say that college is wrong for everyone. There are reasons why people have to go. It's good for those who need degrees in their field of work or who need an environment of people their age and even professors to interact with daily so they can become a more well-rounded person. In fact, in the future, I may even decide that I want to get a degree. Who knows? I'm still very young and I'm still figuring things out. But what I will say is that as of now, my perspective is that it simply doesn't make sense for me. Please, please, please do your own critical analysis. Speak to experts to decide if it's fit for you, as we are different people, we have different circumstances, and I hope you take that as your own decision. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Share your experience going to college, graduating from college, or even what you plan to do if you're pre-college. Thanks for hearing out my perspective, and I'll see you in the next video.